Hey, what's up everybody? Moonshot here, and we're getting ready for a new, we'll call it mini campaign, probably 4 to 6 sessions. It's called Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. It's an adventure for levels 1 through 3, and it was made by Wizards of the Coast to be kind of an introductory mini campaign, an introduction to Dungeons and Dragons. So as part of that, I'll be running this both an in-person group like with my family, but I'm also running it online. We're going to be using Roll20 as the main digital tabletop, as well as for character sheets. So this video, the purpose of it is to show people how to create your character directly in Roll20. Some of the things in Roll20 have changed since the 2024 rule set came out, and we are going to be playing characters built off of the 2024 rules. So let's get right into it. This is directly from Roll20, their character sheet. I can put the link in the description of the video here if you want to take a look at it and kind of poke around. You can go to create a character here, and it's going to kind of walk you through just a couple of steps. You can look around, you can read up on it if you're still trying to decide like what kind of character you want. It'll give you the information even while you're building it. So to kick things off, you start with your class, and you can see the choices here. As a reminder for players in my mini campaign, please use one that has the 2024 tag. That'll just help with moving forward. So let's say you were going to create, I don't know, what should we do? Should we do let's do a ranger. I don't know, I've never played as a ranger. When you click one of the classes on the right hand side, it's going to kind of give you a breakdown. So here's what a ranger gets at level 1. The drop down there will give you more descriptions about it. It talks about what type of weapons you can use, what type of armor, and any special abilities that you'll get at those levels as you rank up. So for this adventure, again, it's going to be just levels 1 through 3 if you want to read through the details on those. But any class that you pick, it's going to give you that breakdown. Once you've selected it, you can go down here to the bottom and then click select class. It's going to kind of show you your hit points, etc. Go to next, and you're going to pick your species. It used to be called race, so you can click around if you want to be an Aasimar, if you want to be a dwarf, if you want to be an elf. Recently, I was in a campaign that had a orc ranger, so I think I'm going to go with that. Similar to what we saw for classes, when you pick your species on the right hand side, it will give you a little bit of the information. If you want to click, for example, Relentless Endurance is a really cool orc perk that when you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. I know my camera's covering some of it, but again, you can kind of take a look at the options here. Go to next step here, and it'll give you another breakdown. Then you go to background. Backgrounds have also changed for 2024. A lot of your proficiencies and even some ability score increases now come from your background as opposed to your species. So you want to be careful, especially with background ability. The way it works is they will list 3 different abilities, in this case, strength, dexterity, intelligence. And you have the option to increase each of those by 1, or one of those by 2 and another by 1. So you really want to think about what's your main ability and if you have a secondary, and that's going to help. But if you're a little bit more of a narrative type of a player, then you want to look at what that background means. What does it mean to be an artisan, instead of just looking at it from a more technical standpoint. So those are the options there. Let's go with farmer. The other thing with backgrounds is that each background now has an origin feat that's tied to it. That's something that is specific. You won't have a choice with what that feat is once you've selected the background. Here's the options for a farmer. Strength, constitution, or wisdom are the abilities you can increase, and the tough feat. If you wanted to go into the compendium, that's kind of like the resource book, you could type in feat, you could type in tough, and find the details. Basically, tough gives you an extra 2 HP every time you level up, is the basics for that. All right, here's where you're gonna pick your abilities. For our mini campaign, we're gonna be using standard array, which is what they have listed here, which means that you can pick one of these numbers for each stat, and you can pick which one you want to be your highest, lowest, middle, etc. If you were being a strength-based character, with this being a ranger, it would make sense to have a higher dexterity for like ranged combat, as opposed to strength, but you could tinker that. If you were a spellcaster, you'd probably want to put that 15 in whatever your spell casting modifier is. Like for wizards, it's intelligence. For sorcerers, it's charisma, like etc, etc. Then you can pick where to add your background ability points. Those will be on top of the standard array. So if you were going with Constitution here, a +2 to Constitution would take you from a 14 up to a 16, which is not bad. And like maybe you want to do one more wisdom. Anytime that you hit an even number in this bottom circle of your ability, that's what makes your overall modifier go up by 1. So for example, here, you might want to look for a background that gives you a boost to dexterity to get at least 1 more point in dexterity. That would take 15 to 16 would mean that this would become a +3. So anytime you did a shot with a longbow, or a ranged attack, you would add 3 to your d20 roll, and it would also add to your damage. So that might be something to keep in mind with your background if you want to look at maybe maxing out your stats a little bit more than just the narrative. And ideally you do a little bit of both. Ideally it plays into your story to also benefit your abilities. Here's where that feat comes in, and you can read up on that there as well, but that's pre-selected based off of the background. If you wanted to go back, like let's say, you know what, I want more dexterity, you can go back to background, remove this, and start that back over. And you can kind of bounce back and forth here at the bottom if you decide you want to change something along the way. Here for skills, you can select from a preset list of proficiency choices. These are ranger skill proficiency choices. Then there's proficiencies you automatically get because of being a farmer. It also shows your weapon proficiencies, like what type of weapons you're able to use, and any tool proficiencies at the bottom. The only thing for this one to select are which ranger skill proficiencies. It's not going to give you animal handling or nature because those ones you already have from being a farmer. We're almost there. For a ranger, they have 2 level 1 spell slots at first level, and so you can select a spell, 2 known spells here from this. A lot of times for hunter, you might want to have something like Ensnaring Strike. I've seen a lot. And maybe you want to do like Goodberry for a little bit of healing. Hail of Thorns, just a little bit of extra damage. And you can see that a lot of these spells are listed twice. That's because they have the 2024 version or the 2014 version. The nice thing about Hail of Thorns is it's not concentration anymore for 2024. But please, when you're picking spells, make sure to select the 2024 version of them. We're almost done. Here at the equipment page, you have the options to kind of go with the standard ranger equipment choices, and you're going to see it adds all of those items automatically to your inventory. Or if you want to build something yourself or like go to town and buy stuff, you could just go for straight up gold, but then you're not going to have anything to start with. Most of the time, especially for beginner players, I'd recommend just going with the default supplies that come with your subclass. You could also do the same thing for being a farmer. Gives you, and it says you still have 30 gold pieces, but carpenter's tools, etc., things that come from your background. So that one's a little bit more customizable. You could go with your background default equipment. If you wanted to have a little bit more gold, you could. On this particular adventure, you're not gonna really have much time to buy and sell because it's on Stormwreck Isle. You're kind of away from any like merchants and tradesmen, so there's not gonna be a lot of chance for you to spend your gold, but you know, who knows, maybe you're, you know, sending it home for impoverished family, I don't know. Once you have your equipment selected, you can put the name of your character here. You can choose their alignment if you want to. We're not going to use that much, especially for this adventure. We won't be using it. Languages known is definitely helpful. You can describe your character if you want to, although having a picture of them eventually would probably be kind of fit that description. If you have any other allies, backstory items that you want to add in here, that's always helpful. So this one's kind of subjective. I would say languages are required here, and the other information is what helps you to kind of be able to visualize your character. Finally, you get to review your character. Take a look, go back and change anything. It does say here at the top 2 unfinished steps. So if you wanted to review that, what did I miss? I missed weapon mastery choice. So you could pick some of those if you to help your ranger subclass. And it's kind of nice, it gives you that warning right there at the end as well, just in case you wanted to fix that before finishing your character. And then when you're done, click build your character. Ta-da! Here's the character sheet that you're gonna be using for this adventure and any online adventures moving forward with Roll20. If you need help with more of the buttons here, that's probably for another video. This was just to get you started on how to create that character sheet. Hopefully it helps.